Welcome to What Do You Do? The podcast that explores the dynamic world of STEM careers. We dive into the personal stories and career paths of professionals, offering valuable insights for those aspiring to follow in their lead. Hi, Tom. Welcome to What Do You Do? So happy to have you on today.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for this opportunity.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself or introduce yourself to the audience today.
Okay, so I am a chemical engineer by training and a people leader by design. How about that? I It's been probably 25 years in the pharma industry, and I have seen and done and explored and worked in so many different countries and on different projects and for different companies. And it's been actually a really interesting and exciting journey. I would say that I'm kind of in between roles right now. I'm looking actively, but I haven't found the right thing exactly yet. And I'm not sure I necessarily want to get back into doing exactly what I was doing before. I think I'm feeling more like a consultant now these days. So looking forward to maybe changing the gears a little. And so in my past, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but in my past, I worked as a consultant at engineering firms for many years. And I truly believe that that is like the best training and the best experience that anyone can ever get, because you are getting inundated with new projects and new ideas and new processes and things like that all the time. It is truly a blessing to have 4 or 5 years at an engineering firm like that and get exposed to some large projects, because there are so many things that you get exposed to that you would never see anywhere else. And the difference too is when you go and you work for directly for a facility, you go to the same place day after day, you work on the same things day after day, and you see the same problems day after day. You maybe fix a few of the problems, and the other ones are ones that are legacy problems that existed well before you ever came, and they exist well after you leave. And so, that's I tried that because I tried to get away from traveling, and it's just it's a different vibe and it's a different approach, and um, it's good if you can good find a really good culture at a large company, but I'll tell you, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to find that culture that actually works. So,
Wanted to circle back around to your consulting.
mm.
Now, did you start your own little firm, or what does that look like? Or are you working with other firms?
So I'm talking with other firms right now in the US. We have a company that started now in Brazil. So my wife is doing business in Brazil part time, which is great. It's always a benefit to us, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I'm actually going to be able to leverage that as well. So when we set up the U.S. entity, if we do set up a U.S. entity, we'll see how these conversations progress. I mean, I have potential projects. It just turns into the avenue to deliver them for people.
What is one really good piece of advice that you've received during your career?
It, I'll tell you, there was one boss that I had at Bausch and Lomb that was really spectacular. His name was Joseph DiStefano. And what he used to always say is, look, feedback is a gift. It may not feel like a gift. It may not look like a gift. But take it as a gift, because if you don't, it just becomes something painful that you're going to carry, and it's true. It's how you frame, your perspective. The other thing he had said too was it really depends on who's giving the advice, who's giving the feedback, and how you interpret their feedback, because sometimes it's not real feedback, right? And so it was fantastic advice, and I always share that with others.
I like that. I really like that. I really like that. Almost what I needed to hear at this moment in time too. Sometimes it's so hard to take feedback. Sometimes it's so hard to take feedback because it feels so personal. At the same time, you're like, also at the same time, you're helping me. Why wouldn't I be happy about this?
Exactly. It's a matter of perspective, right? And when you take someone else's perspective, it's just you changing the view and being able to start to actually see what someone else's perspective looks like. So, okay, maybe I need to change this, or maybe I should change the way I talk to these vendors. Darn it, right? It,
Yes.
sometimes it's very little things, and it all relates to a perception. And the perception, unfortunately, is somebody else's reality. So it may not be your own reality, but it certainly is someone else's.
I know you've been posting on LinkedIn, and I enjoy reading a lot of your posts that you write about helping younger engineers who are trying to break into the industry. Tell us a little bit about some tips and tricks that you kind of have in your back pocket when you're looking for a new opportunity.
Okay, so I told you I'm a storyteller, and I'll start off by telling you a story with this. So, one of the guys that I had worked with, this was back in 2006, I went to work for a company, and he happened to work for me. He was assigned to work for me, basically. And we both had about the same years of experience. And he was a chemical engineer as well. He came into work every day and he complained about how little he made. And I, I, I saw, and I'm like, wow, what happened? And so we talked about what happened with his career. And he went to this company. He started they basically, when he graduated, he went to work at this company. And the problem was that he didn't get a job in engineering. He got a job in the QC lab
Oh,
because it was what was available. So he was limited by region and geographic. And he started working for this company as a chemist, which was well below what a chemical engineer would make right out of college. And I told him, the problem is every single time you take a pay change, you get a little bump or you get a promotion, it's never ever going to exceed 10%. You will never ever see more than 10%. And if you do, it's because somebody's really fighting for you. And it's very, very difficult, especially in a larger organization, for you to ever get anything beyond that 10% mark. Now, in his particular case, what he did is he went and he got the AICHE, which is the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, salary survey. Okay. And he
wow.
posted it on the whiteboard we had a construction trailer that we shared. And so he posted it on the whiteboard. It was fantastic because he would come in every day and he'd point to it and look at it. And I would go, Mike, I know. And then he and I had one conversation at the end of the day. It was like a day or two after he posted it. And he said, look, here I am. I am below the 10 percentile for my years of experience. And I said, you are. And I said, Mike, I'm above the 10 percentile if I go out to 25 years. And what's the difference? Why is that? I don't know. And I said, Mike, it's because I've made changes. I've moved around and I've taken changes. I've made changes so that I could get some growth. I I see what I want as far as experience, and I go and I get it, and I grow from it, and then I move on to the next thing. Don't lock yourself in to, a 25 years working in the chemistry lab, because that's really where, that's what hurt you. You came into the company at this really low rate, and then
Yeah.
they promoted you into an engineering role, and you got a little 10% hike on a little tiny number. And that problem, it's never going to escape you. And once I gave him that advice, it took him about 2 months, and then he actually was off, and he picked his family up. They did a full relocation to another state, and it was great. He actually thanked me, because for him, he ended up recognizing what was probably about a 50 to 60% pay increase as a
Just
result of the
from
change.
moving his
Yeah,
job. The days of
exactly.
working at the same company for 30 years are over in a weird way, right? Unless you're
It,
willing to accept the reality that you're only going to receive that 10%
exactly.
increase.
And in some cases, it makes a lot of sense for people, right? They're in a specific region, they're geographically limited. I have parents, I have family, I have all these other things that kind of limit, or they have constraints. I need my kids to go to this school. I've
Yeah.
heard all the different constraints that limit people. And so as a result, it's up to you. If you want to do something different, do something different. Go do it, right? But I tell that story because it was kind of really the first time I ever helped someone really think outside of their own reality, and try to make a change. And they did. And it was very positive, and um, moved his family, took a much higher role, and he's continued to grow. So no, no big surprises there, but it starts with actually and you have to be open to
Yeah.
exploring and talking, and saying hello, which is that's another piece of advice that I give people too, is because they complain. They say to me, "Oh my gosh, I have recruiters that are beating down my door or burning up my phone." And I said, I look, I get it. I don't always answer my phone. I'm not the best with taking calls from numbers that I don't
Yeah.
recognize, right? But if they send me an email and they introduce themselves, and I know what it is that they're after or what they want to talk about, I'll engage with them. I will absolutely talk to them, and I'll say either yes, I have some interest, or no, I don't have any interest, or I'm so sorry, it's not, but I can recommend someone for you. And I've done that as well, where, you, this is not right for me, and I know it's not, but here's somebody else it would be perfect for, right?
Yeah.
Um, and but those types of interactions and those exchanges, I always tell people, it's data. You are in a process of gathering data. Ask what the range is. Ask what, the a job
Yeah.
description. Ask ask about all kinds of information that you're going to get from it. Oh, they're doing a project because they're expanding and they're hiring people to support the project. You have data, you have some information. It may not even be the role that you specifically want, but you gain some actual business insight from the recruiter, and all they've done is they've helped make you more powerful, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But then on the flip side, the recruiter has also gained information about what's happening at your company and
Exactly.
why are the people leaving and
Yep.
what's the turmoil that's happening that's making everyone think
Exactly.
I need to get out of here.
Yep. Exactly. But it's it's an
It's a
exchange,
two-way.
and yeah, you always have to balance it there because
Exactly.
they're very happy to collect all kinds of information from you, but it's you have to view it as it's your opportunity because that's really
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is.
Exactly. And build those relationships with the recruiters as well. Because
Exactly.
I know I've heard stories where someone stayed in touch with all these recruiters. And then when she posted it one day on the LinkedIn, she had all these recruiters reaching out to her. Hey, I'm open to work. Like, help me.
Yep.
And probably three of them all came with job opportunities right to her
Yeah.
rescue.
Yep.
So it's amazing, especially in the life sciences where there are
It's a
certain
small
skill
world.
sets that are so
Yeah.
highly desirable.
Yep, exactly. And but your network is a very powerful thing. And, you know, you don't need everybody in your network. And the number of people that I get that are, and I don't really understand what their game is or anything like that, but
Yeah.
they join your network and then they send you an email, hi, and it's this weird, I would like to know more about you. And they want to have a chat, and they're not even a real person. It's just it.
What? That's
Oh my gosh.
weird.
I've had probably about four that are literally, they send me messages one day and their profile is removed 2 days later. It's like,
That's why LinkedIn is cracking down because it actually happened to me recently. I was sending out connection requests to prospective candidates for my job as a recruiter. And next thing you know, LinkedIn goes, your access to connect with people has been denied because they
yeah.
thought I was a bot of some sort. And I
Oh
was
my
like, no, I'm
gosh.
not a bot. I promise. I have actual opportunities I'm reaching out to these folks about.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
that
And
must be it.
but it's theirs, and I've had a few too that are like, the last one I got was so and so from HR and Novartis, and it was the wording of the message is exactly the same. Your broad and rich skill set would be the perfect addition to our company. I'm once I read that sentence, I'm out. I'm like, oh my God, again.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's that network though, if you keep it and you actually engage with it, it's very powerful. It's a very, very powerful tool, and people underestimate it totally. It's the one thing that has allowed me to stay in touch with people for 20, 30 years. I've seen more people retire on LinkedIn. I've seen people change jobs and roles and move to
Yeah.
different states. And well, what happened to so and so? You have the ability to go and look and find and reach out to them. It's a fantastic tool.
Yeah. So, what's some advice that you would give someone who is just starting out, right? Yeah. Yeah. Enter the job market. You're just starting to build that community of folks around you. And then, 3 years in, you decide to take on a new job. How do you stay connected with those folks that you used to work with who maybe you're not best friends with, but could be a potential in the future?
So my my advice there is, connect with anybody and everybody at that existing company. The company that you're in right now today, I don't care if they live in another part of the world, but they still are part of that company. Send them a request. If they tell you no, it's cool. If they connect with you because they see that you're at the same company, guess what? You gained a connection. And the cool thing is when you do that, you actually see stuff that's happening inside your company from somebody else's perspective, and maybe even at another facility or another country. It's a really, really cool thing to do. It builds your network as well. And then one of the other things I would recommend too is when you're ready to leave and you're backing out, you're kind of cleaning your list and you figure out what day is your last day, I would send out a request to all of your the folks that you've worked with looking for a LinkedIn recommendation, because that is the time to do it. You're there. They've seen you. They know the work that you've done. They you can actually explain to them what you want help with, what you're looking for out of a recommendation. And if you get the recommendations, the thing is they never go away. So
Yeah.
the time to do it is right before. So when you do make the move, there's no bad blood, there's no hard feelings or anything like that. I mean, the other thing too that I always tell engineers, that nobody is looking out for you better than you. And you
Yeah.
really have to figure that part out very early on, because if you think the company is looking out for you, wow, you are really mistaken. It's um, that's why they have HR. HR is there to defend the company, not to defend you, right? It is 100% a legal role in that regard, and they're there just to make sure that everyone's following the rules and no laws have been broken, violations, so that the day that they don't need you, it's very easy. The day that they want to move you to another department, it's easy.
Yeah.
All of those things, they have those processes, those rules to support that, right? So in the end, do they want people happy and cheerful at work? Yeah, of course they do. But that's not their role and that's not their job. You have to view yourself as a company itself, right?
Yeah.
You are selling your time to a company, and in return, they're paying you for your time, they're paying you for your benefits, they're giving you things to make your time valuable, right? So it just becomes a question of at what point that exchange rate, is not working. Maybe it's not working for them and maybe it's not working for you, you know? So I always tell people you have to think in those terms, because there's a point where the value that you're bringing, like, for example, I was a capital project manager for a company once who um, their sales diminished very rapidly and they turned into no capital. So
Uh-oh.
no capital for a capital project manager.
Is no
I don't need
good.
Yeah, I don't need any special communication. I know what's coming. It's just
Yeah.
a question of timing. And so um, you you have to be aware, and you also have to be smart enough to know when is my time. When do I start looking? And in
Yeah.
that particular case, I was it was very hard for me to locate a job and kind of get something very quickly. I think it took me about 2 weeks after that. But in today's terms, that's like very rapid, right?
Yeah, that is very rapid. Oh my gosh. Typically it's 3 to 6 months.
But it, at that time, staying connected, I talked with all of my vendors that I had. I met with other companies that I had used. So I was reaching out to my network and I was connecting with people face to face, and it makes a difference because you're actually, when you do that, it's people that you know, so they've already worked with you, they already know you. Um, but
It's not
yeah,
what you know, it's who you know, right?
it ultimately, in the end, it absolutely is.
Thank you for joining us on What Do You Do? We're excited to have had you with us today. Be sure to tune in next week for more inspiration, empowerment, and fresh insights into fascinating careers. Whether you're discovering a profession you've never heard of or finding new perspectives on familiar roles, there's always something for everyone. If you're interested in sharing your own career journey, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a private message and let's connect. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious. I'm Amanda Averill, and this has been What Do You Do?, where we delve into the diverse world of STEM careers. Thanks for listening.